Chuggalos, welcome back to episode 260 of the Brew Crew podcast. Happy New Year! We made it. We made it all the way to 2024. The world hasn't catastrophically blown up yet, and we're going to take that as a win. I've got a special episode for you guys today. I'm going to do two beers. One is rather unique for a specific reason, and then you're going to get my first reactions. I have a bunch of Untappd best brewery, best beers, and best new breweries, and I have them up. We're going to do this multimedia style, and you're going to get my first reaction. I haven't looked at those at all. Typically, I like to front load when I'm looking at like a new brewery. I'll go read the R story or whatever, but I like doing like this multimedia aspect where I'm able to bring in the websites and we're able to take it in together at the first time. So hopefully that's going to come off very well. I have a couple of thoughts though, since this is going to be a meatier episode. What I'm not going to cover is I don't want to cover any of the advent calendar or our beer of the year. I want to save that for JT because we get some amazing content with that, especially when we've had enough time to distillate the 24 beers of the advent calendar, and then hopefully, and maybe this will put him on notice, to do like a top beers that we had on the podcast. I don't know the specific number, but then that way we can do our beer of the year and our beer of the year that we had on the podcast, or maybe some memorable moments. But tune in next week when we get together for that, because I'm sure that's going to be an absolute hoot. But I'm getting thirsty, and so my first beer is going to be from HopCulture Lightning Drops, and it's a double dry hopped that comes in at double dry hopped that comes in at 6.5%. I'm very intrigued on this one, so I'm going to go with the crack right away. And again, there's going to be a lot to cover on this. Maybe it could have been a 3-beer episode with how much I've got to cover. Lightning Drops, and it's like they call it a Nectaron IPA too. So hopefully we'll be able to explore why that is the case. Here, let me get Nectaron right here. Double dry hop. Is it Nectarine? Nectaron IPA. Okay, so I'm not too far off. All right. So while I go on this, and again, there's going to be so much to cover on this, I just have to wet the palate a little bit. That's very, very, very juicy. That initial reaction, I didn't expect for it to be like that refreshing. And it comes in, again, 6.5 pint can, jet black. That's the reason I bought it. I've been sitting on this one for a while. I wanted to save it for the mothership, and hopefully with JT. Unfortunately, there's just so many beers that I have stocked up that I was like, okay, which one? I got a couple from home, a couple of donations or whatever. We got to do those together. It just makes it that much more rich and compelling conversation. So anyways, what have I been doing since the advent calendar has emptied? I got back to Wisconsin and I organized my cellar. So my cellar has just been a conglomerate. Like I would just buy beers and stick them in. They weren't organized at all. And I was asking much smarter people than I what they were doing or how they organize their cellars, and I was hoping for like an app or like a one-stop solution, and no one had. Everyone does it a different way. So really what I got was, it's what works for you. Like one individual is like, I just put them in boxes. I sort them by brewery. Another individual is like, I sort them by type. And for me, while it's 77 different kinds and I think I have like 112 or something, Again, I put it all in a spreadsheet and I aggregated the type, the ABV, and the age on the beer. And that's the first question I have is if you have a cellar, be it you're just starting, or it's annoying when you can't find the bottle date. So like 120-minute or like CBS or whatever, they have like what your release is, or you can find it on like the neck of the bottle, like when it was bottled. Again, so if it's a beer that's designed to be aged or whatever, I like that. So I'm able to tell, and I'm able to cycle through or like attain my verticals, like if you have like a 3-year vertical of 120-minute, or like I have a 6-year vertical right now. That way you can organize them, and then you could, do a tasting or whatever with friends. And I spent a lot of time doing it. I don't know if I'm any the better for it. I feel like it's a lot more organized. I'm much more aware of what I have. But yeah, like if my oldest beer, I think I've got a 14-year beer, one that's not supposed to be aged by any means. And then I was like, well, it's 2024, so then I automatically just put a year on everything, even though I'm recording this at 10 o'clock on New Year's Day. Again, Happy New Year's. This is a delightful little ditty, especially after New Year's. Wife got up today and we were talking, we were reflecting. We let our daughter stay up. Interesting point on that coming soon. And we just had, I didn't realize how much she enjoyed having a day off because she was working all the way up until the holiday. And it was nice to have, just that quiet night at home. I know there's a lot of people that do go out and celebrate. It seems like more of my group of friends or individuals, a lot of people, we were sending messages and everyone's like, oh, I'm staying home with the comfy clothes. And a lot of people are watching the Packer game, the Packers trounce Chuggalo Dave's Minnesota Vikings, because I know Chuggalo Dave will be listening. So Chuggalo Dave, I've got a special one for you for my second beer coming up. All right, so let's get to this beer. I think that's what, let's do the best beers we drank in 2023. I'm going to sit here and drink on this one. And so we're going to bring up Firefox. Best beers we drank. So again, this is from Untappd, but they link to HopCulture, which is a great, I'm going to turn off my webcam. All right, and I'm just going to resize that just a little bit. Okay, let's see. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to scroll down. A bunch of best craft beers we drank. Rock Hill and Locusts. And Artisan Ales. Dark Mild. Best breweries. Okay, Dark Mild. So we've had English Milds before. We didn't have one this year, I don't think, in the Advent calendar. Otherwise, it's not a type that I go for. Welcome to the Here and Now. Amalgam Brewing, Denver. West Coast Pills. Interesting. Hoppy or double dry hopped in front of Pilsners. Yeah, again, Pilsners, the German purity law is 4 ingredients. So the fact that they double dry hop it. Sorry, Stacy. Widowmaker Brewing. West Coast IPA. Again, I love great can art there. I love West Coast IPAs. Again, it's my style. Chuggalo Mikey actually sent me a tree. Maybe I'll post it on the Facebook. A family tree of how to differentiate IPAs. I thought was really neat. Freedom Lemonade, from Rev Brewing Company. Interesting. Fruited sour, no surprise. Trapel from Brewery Ardennes. Yeah, with a name like Brewery Ardennes, you would expect it to be Belgian-inspired. And Grand Cru's. Bus Beer. Czech-style pale lager. I think those European styles, that's going to be one of my guesses for they're going to be more and more coming up as people. I think people are overly. I'm going to cut it back for a second. I think people are palate shocked when it comes to beers, like all of the adjuncts and the esters and everything that goes into beer, that we're going to retard a little bit our palates and maybe hit a reset button and go back to, like an Eastern European style beer, almost like a Pilsner Urquell or Czech-style pale lagers or like a Heineken or whatever, just to see if we can amp up and refine those beers a little bit more. Because, again, I think there's going to be two camps. Like, give me all the gimmick beers and then just give me something plain Jane. And that's fine. It's nice because the market needs to refresh. And the interesting thing related to that is Chuggalo Ryan sent me an article that beer consumption in the last year, I should have brought the article up. Beer consumption in the last year is down, precipitously down for the most time in decades. Other seltzers, and we've talked about this ever since the advent of the Brew Crew podcast. But other things, be it seltzers or vodka drinks or whatever, vodka tonics or whatever, are biting into beers because for me, and they have a place in my fridge, I'm trying to avoid that bloat. So if I can avoid that bloat and still, catch a buzz or whatever, intermingle it with my beer, because it's hard to go like to hard liquor and that, but we'll see. All right, Czech style transcontinental crisp from Southern Grist. We have some Southern Grist beers coming up that were bequeathed to us by Chuggalos Stev. So a Pils. And again, out of Nashville, you don't think of like a bastion of craft brewery. And it's nice to say because there's so many powerhouses and people argue who make the best beer. No one will ever accuse Tennessee or Nashville specifically of being a bastion of craft beer. Flashlight Tag, peanut butter and chocolate. Imperial Stout, again, chocolate and peanut butter. A beer that's often done, but hardly ever mastered. Winkle Nectar, Three Sons Brewing, I've heard of them. Imperial Stout, big stuff. Again, that's going to be, I love that fatality art. If you're looking about 10 minutes in. Man, side pull pillows. All right, Pills. Barrel age adjuncts. All right, we're getting into experimental projections derived from transcendental thought from Burial. Hell yeah, Burial. Is that... Oh, they unrolled the can onto two cans. I was like, is that two cans connected? Which is a West Coast IPA. I'm going to have to find that. I'll have to put that onto a list. You just made the list. All right, Inside Voice. American Barley Wine. I'm sad at when I organized my cellar, the lack of barley wines. I do have barley wines, but I want more of them. All right. I think we've got a lot of material out of that, so we're going to go back. We're going to go back to this beer. So, West Coast IPA is coming up. Again, best beers that they drank in 2023. We went through 15, not one New England IPA. Take note, people. People are burnt out on them, me included. All right. Lightning Drops from Resident Culture, 6.5%, double dry hopped. Let's go learn a little bit about Resident Culture. All right, so I'll bring back up the Firefox. So Resident Culture Brewing. So residentculturebrewing.com is their URL. All right, so locations. They're out of Charlotte, so not Asheville. Asheville as the aforementioned Burial. Charlotte or North Carolina, specifically Asheville, is a place where you could argue, or they would be in an argue for one of the best areas to go get beer. Even talking to some family members that had done an Asheville trip, it was awesome to hear even the debate amongst them what the best place was. All right, let's go to our story. And there's one cool thing that I'm going to get to. Embrace your truth. The recognition of isolation as an internal state of mind of otherness. Your weird is welcome. That's a big, like, Portland and Austin's like, embrace your weird. All right, meet the residents. Co-founder and CEO, Amanda. And their head brewer, Aaron Jordan. So, great to see the female influence coming in with the craft beer culture. It's awesome. We're going to highlight it every time. Again, I love this guy, this head brewer and co-founder. It's just fucking beer. That's awesome. Just illustrator. They have an illustrator on staff. Sometimes they farm that out, but it's awesome that they employ that person and give artists. Again, beer is an extension of artistry. I truly believe that. Just lots of people, and everyone's happy holding hopefully their favorite beer. I do like when it puts their favorite beer. Like what their jam is on the website. This one they don't, but that's just one of those things that I take from a website where I really look like, oh, what's your favorite style? There was a couple from this last year where there was like English milds. Like that's a bold pick. Like that's somebody that's refined and enjoys like a deep but yet mellow type of beer. Again, it's just. I'm at a loss for words on how to describe it at times, but there's a lot of people out there that English mild, which is one. I mean, I wasn't a fan of IPAs for many years. English milds are one of those that I'm still not an exceptional fan of. I appreciate them; they have their space, but there's a lot of people coming up and that are making quality English milds. All right, this beer is fantastic. I'm not going to go too much into the can art. That's not my shtick. But the one thing I will say, and that's the bottom line. This beer is crushable. This is pontoon crushable. 6.5% harkens that. It's satisfying that it comes in a pint can. There's more than like one note to it, where it's got that sweetness, it's got that citra, it's got that zest into it. This is something where I could see this buddying up or pairing up very well with a truth. The truth is just sharper. It has a more of a crescendo on those aforementioned notes. This is more of like you have like a truth would be a lemon or a lime. This is more of like your melon, which has that sweetness, but it's more subtle. So if you could see the curves that I make it with my words. Wow. This beer is going to get high praise from me. I'll tell you this, as I'm starting in the new year, starting to hopefully make some better decisions, both both with the palate and with the books. This is going to be one that I'm going to have another one of today. I guarantee that. Maybe with like a salad or something like that, because we're all trying to better ourselves and reflect on the point. I don't know if any of the Chuggalos out there are resolution hounds or really look forward to, but it's just a nice time to hit the reset button, both mentally, physically, and emotionally. They're all things that we can reflect on and hopefully do better. And it's funny that beer or alcohol in general can be an impetus for those positive changes. Off the top rope, I'm going to give this beer a 4.75. This is a damn near perfect beer. I just wish it had more of a crescendo, but maybe it's challenging to do that. 6.5. Resident Culture is definitely going to be put onto the Matt radar. It's just so darn smooth. And 6.5, it's not hateful. So this is something you would be able to sustain on. Maintain good conversation with people. And again, if you gift this beer to somebody, someone's going to be like, wow, it comes off and it's going to be bold. That's why when I was just looking at it, I didn't realize it's 6.5. It's kind of a loud can with some, suggestive themes or whatever. I knew it was an IPA because the IPA is displayed prominently on it, but I didn't realize it was such a light IPA. Oh, as I lost, I'm going to have to refresh the camera. But I didn't realize how refreshing that was. Anyways, that's exciting. All right. Yeah, off the top rope, I'm very comfortable at a 4.75. This is worth whatever it was at the price point. I've been sitting on this one, so people are like, how fresh is it or whatever. I think I've been sitting on this one for 2 months, just between the advent calendar and recording schedules or whatever. But this was one that I wanted to save for the mothership because I was just excited about the can art and the black on black. There's no silver on the can, which is awesome. All right. So on to the second Untappd. We're going to do best new breweries. We're going to save best breweries. We're going to do best new breweries. And then we'll get to the second beer of the day. Okay, best new breweries of 2023. Let's see if anything really comes interesting. We officially hit magic 10,000 breweries in the U.S. Wait, has it already happened? We're certainly getting close. The number of craft breweries in the U.S. continues to grow with 9,552, which is very eerily similar to the number of bars in the state of Wisconsin, which the number of bars in the state of Wisconsin, I believe is, sorry, Stacey, 9,300 and change. So there's almost as many bars in Wisconsin as there is breweries in the United States. I don't think that's a coincidence. That's a whole heck of a lot of new breweries. That's hilarious. All right, best new breweries. Wow. Am I going to have to eat crow on this one or what? Best new brewery according to Untappd and HopCulture, Fayette La Force Brewing in Nashville, Tennessee. And just wanted to ensure their tap room felt like a place for everyone, regardless of their background, gender, or sexuality. They host Pride Night. Let's talk about the beer. Spoiler, they are. Tiny 5-barrel system. Orchestral fanfare, a Belgian-style Saison. Okay, those are up and coming, or re-coming back into it. I have a bunch of Saisons that I need to get to. Belgian influence comes from the opportunity. Hyper-focused Belgian brewery in the Nashville. I mean, Nashville has so much room. Like, if you're going to do a brewery, Nashville seems like a great place to do it because there's a huge exodus coming from California. Nashville is like one or two after Austin I think the bloom is off the rose in Austin. People are moving to Nashville. People with, used to paying a premium price point for certain types of amenities in California and bring that money and that characteristic to Nashville. So the fact that you can be that niche with a Belgian brewery is huge for Nashville. Many European-leaning ones. So this goes into my people retarding their palates a little bit, trying to get back to more that Eastern European, that pure, that German purity law, Czech-style dark lager. Wow. Okay. Burroughs Brewing. Sorry if I Portland. Okay. So we go from a desert of craft breweries in Nashville to really the bastion of niche craft breweries in Portland. I think when we were just in Portland earlier, or in August of 2023, I think it was 76 breweries in Portland. So again, just small. Flipside Brewing. I think JT might have brought this up. Tinley Park. Chicago Brew has co-founded with 350 Brewing. Awesome. Enterprise Brewing Company, San Francisco. Bold market to move into with all the social presence that's happening there. Insight Cellars, Copenhagen. Okay, so now we're jumping over the pond. So you hear a lot about the Belgian and Dutch and German beers, but not too much about the Danish. Again, the Denmark is, for geography challenged, is on the Jutland or Jutland Peninsula, just to the north of Germany. So it's kind of off by itself a little bit. Dakaber, Oakland Doka beer. Oh, it looks Japanese. Or Korean. Apologies on that. But Korean owned, there we go. Korean ingredients, a nod to Lee's heritage. Maybe get a kimchi. Shape-shifting creatures, that's the name, or what it's derived from. Gold Brewing, San Diego, another one of those super saturated areas that just put out quality product that you always hear about. Fast Friends, Austin. Rockland, I think that's outside of San Francisco. Shred Beer. Brulian, Oakland, Florida. Panama Beer Project, California. An honorable mention. All right, we don't need to hit up the honorable mentions. But it's interesting. The first brewery that they talked about was out of Nashville and Belgian. It's just like hitting my points. If only I would have pre-produced it that way. Man, that's good. All right, second beer. This one's for Chuggalo Dave. Chuggalo Dave, I'm going to give you a second to guess. If you were paying attention earlier in the podcast, I had the tab up. We're going to do Yuengling's Hershey Porter, or Hershey Chocolate Porter beer. This is a beer I've never had before, and I've probably taken 400 bottles of this back to Wisconsin. We're going to go with the crack because it comes in a bottle. Is it a twist off? I'm going to actually try my stupid human trick. I don't know if Yuengling's a twist off. Oh, my stupid human trick worked. There we go. Impress your friends. Okay. So this has been sitting in my cellar. Funny. Oh, it's just all Hershey's chocolate. I'm going to immediately put this in a koozie just so the bottle doesn't make a noise. Okay, so everyone's going to be like, Matt, why are you drinking a 2022 Hershey's Porter? Because that's when this beer is from. All right. Quick story, 2022 had a draft party at the house for our fantasy football league, and we decided that I decided was going to be a mystery cooler of death. Everyone brought over what they thought were terrible beers. I don't know who brought this beer. All right. So we put them all in a cooler. Everyone had great times, good times and great oldies. This beer got left here around with 28 other beers. I was putting together a case of beer to take back to my in-laws for Christmas because my in-laws' best friends and their children, when I bring beer or I go to Discount Liquor or whatever liquor store in Wisconsin, I stack up on things that I can't get here. And I put some in the fridge, and I love Future Matt. So I will always leave a couple of craft beers in their beer fridge. My in-laws also have an amazing beer fridge. I will hide like a couple of IPAs or whatever there because it's not a style that is always purchased by my in-laws. That they keep a bunch of ancient lagers and swill type beers, stuff that other people will enjoy. So I will always front load and love Future Matt and leave a couple of beers there. Well, in the last like 4 or 5 times I've gone, those beers have been pilfered. I'm like, okay, so I'm catching on to this. And it's not my father-in-law. My father-in-law will kick back and enjoy like a Stella Artois or a Miller Lite. So I know that. So doing some sleuthing, I'm figuring out who's taking these beers. I'm going to go with my first reaction. I've never had this beer before. And again, this is I didn't do it. Hershey's Chocolate Porter, and it comes in at 4.7%, which is light on the ABV for a porter that you would think of. Lots of chocolate notes, like that dry chocolate, that high cacao percentage, which hilarious story. I should just post that episode. It was an advent calendar episode by the Up North crew. They submitted it. They got into a discussion of cocoa versus cacao. It'll come up later. There's a couple other beers that I have in the cellar that allude to that. Anyways, back to the story. All over the place today. Sorry about that, Chuggalos. So I took all of these mystery cooler beers and I put them in a 24-pack case. Well, this one just happened to be in there, so I pulled this one out. I was like, I'll do this on the podcast when I have like a solo episode because I only had one bottle of it. So I take all 24 of these boxes. There was like an Axe Head malt liquor in there, which is 11.5%. And on Christmas, my in-laws, their best friends, Paul and Jane, and their daughters came over to the house for the festivities. And I go, and they immediately go downstairs. They know Matt's in town. There's going to be beers. There's going to be conversation. And I was preloaded. So I have this box of mystery cooler of death beers, throwaways that people had. There's some like Wild Ohio's in there. There's some, Mexican style lagers, but not like the high hitting ones, like Estrella de Mexicana, like again, malt liquor. So I go, oh, don't you worry. I've got you guys all set up. So I bring up this box and they're like, oh, because the year before I bought an advent calendar at the aforementioned discount liquor. And they're like, oh, it's going to be an advent calendar. I go, you guys can have whatever you want in there. They proceeded to drink 6, 7, 8 of them. The senior, aforementioned Chuggalo Paul, took the Axe Head, the malt liquor, 11.5, come in a pint can, and just destroyed it. And it's like, this is pretty tasty. So now I've got egg on my face, but at least I got rid of all of those terrible beers that were just holding up space in my cellar. And I got them. I found a new home, a new destination, a new fun gimmick. Again, the reason why we do the podcast, it's all about conversation. This just drove conversation. I don't think there was one drain pour, one of the Wild Ohio's, go figure. Tea beer or whatever. So just good conversation. So that's why one man's trash is another man's treasure. Even though it was a mystery cooler of death, Castaway beers, other people enjoyed the shit out of them, and it was worth taking it up there for that conversation. I knew I'm going to get like 5 minutes of material on the podcast with it. All right, back to this beer. I can see why Chuggalo Michelle from the Up North crew, I can see why she wanted me to bring cases of this back. If you like chocolate and you like beer, you don't get any beer on this. This is like a watery hot chocolate. I'm wondering if you warmed it up a little bit, if you would get more of that, but it's the dark. Is it the milk chocolate? I don't know. I'm not a big chocolate person. It doesn't taste like a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup or whatever, like that chocolate. It feels like it's more dark chocolate or catered to that. This is good. For me, it's a one-off. I appreciate what they do here. And again, Yuengling, as we will find out, because we've never done Yuengling on the podcast, I don't think. If only I had the list. All right, so we'll go to Yuengling's website, yuengling.com, and I brought Yuengling's Chocolate Porter, returns for a limited time. Coveted beer. I don't think they did it in 2023. I couldn't find anything on it. Yuengling, United States or oldest continuously operating brewery. And again, I think it's 1894. Now you can get it west of the Mississippi, so a lot of people are pleased about that. Their light lager is a solid. I love their black and tan. It makes a great beer batter. And again, such a rich history. I'm not going to do it justice. Sorry, Chuggalo Dave. But they go all the way through. Our original brews, Eagle Brewery destroyed, new name. And I love how it's Yuengling and Son, if you kind of get into the... But again, great website, and YUENGLING.com. It's just an atypical name for a brewery, especially that time where, like, in northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, you have, like, Hams, you have Schlitz, old stock, like J. Heilman. You have more, like, German, easily identifiable names. And again, I love they adorn it. They wear it proudly. America's oldest brewery on the crest of every can, every bottle, every receptacle. It just a amazingly solid beer. Could I drink more than one of these? No, but in a sitting, obviously, season to season or day to day or whatever, you could have this. I'm wondering if my wife might not be a good representation of what this beer offers to somebody that doesn't identify themselves as a craft beer aficionado right now. But I could see the appeal to other individuals that wouldn't be like, oh, I want a craft beer, or I want something that's different than like a Miller Lite, Bud Light, Coors Light. Wow, where do I go with this? Sorry, Stacey. Off the top rope, this is really good at what it does. Marries the chocolate, dare I say, better than most beers in the porter realm. Off the top rope, man, I'm vacillating between two scores. You can guess which two. I'm going to give this a 4.25. I can see why. I think I gave people a lot of shit for this too, so I might have to eat crow, or maybe those people will send me their receipts. I can see why people wanted me to bring as much of this back to Wisconsin as I did. And hopefully they covet and crave it as much as we do with our desirables. Like for me, the two beers I always tell people, if they see it, spend my money, I will send it to immediately, are Dogfish Head 120 Minute and Double Two Hearted. Again, just premier beers, Bell's Double Two Hearted. Ironically, both big, burly IPAs, with the 120 minute technically being a triple IPA. That just ages so well. It was nice. It was nice yesterday when I was organizing the cellar to organize all of those by year and group, and then reflect back on, when did I have this 2017? When did I have that 2020? Because there was some missing from 4-packs. Yeah. So I'm very comfortable with a 4.25. 4.75 for the first beer. All right. So more content, more things to talk about. We're going to do the best breweries, not best new breweries, best breweries of 2023. Excited to see it. Let's see. I see a picture of Anchor Steam, and I kind of question, but let's scroll down. If you thought last year's list of best breweries was banger, just wait until you see our top picks for 2023. Just to give you an idea of past winners, 2022 Novel Strand, Sam Adams in 2021. I don't know if we did this list, but that would have been something to revel. Weathered Souls in 2020, Vitamin C Brewing, and Threes Brewing in 2018. All right, Anchor Brewing Company, best brewery. And again, that's, as we know, we covered it on the pod on this show, the Mothership. I just want to pay homage to an icon because many of you know the crazy history of the brewery. It's been one of the absolute survival, including near bankruptcy, earthquake, fires, and a little thing called Prohibition. So to see the brewery forced to close its doors, truly tragic. And people just, I abhor this beer. I hate the California comment. It's one of those, ugh. So they saved it. Former Anchor employees started a GoFundMe page, raising $80,000 the first 5 days, 1,300 donations. wow, there again, you're going to find plenty of breweries on this future breweries to watch in 2024. Studs right now. Hopefully it's not rather rest in peace anchor. So they didn't close. They're kind of on life support though. All right, Bellflower out of Portland. I haven't heard anything about Bellflower, but Portland. Let's see if I'm seeing a lot of IPAs with good ingredients here. Holy Mountain out of Seattle. Not, and then submitted by Sante Adarius Rustic Ales, Capitola, California. Not familiar. That looks like a well-to-do brewery room if you're looking, like about 35 minutes in. Holy buckets. I talk too much. BKS Artisan Ales, Kansas City. I give Kansas City a lot of shit for Boulevard, so it's nice that something else has been able to move into there. Boulevard is much like Surly, where they have great one-offs, but their normal run-of-the-mill stuff I don't care for. I think it's derivative. Bissell Brothers, another main. I've had Bissell Brothers before. I could see why they do well. Jester King have had Jester King. They do really well with their bottle conditioned beers. Walking Tree, not familiar with Walking Tree. What else we got here? Side Project. I've heard of Side Project. I've had Side Project at St. Louis. Right there with Perennial Artisan Ales. In Abraxas, they're one of the high. Gold Spot. Denver. Okay, so if you've seen Colorado, which is like the OG bastion of craft brewery, Denver finally making an appearance. California, or Colorado in general. Ghost Town, I've heard of it. I love how they do this. It's 2 cans, 1 sticker, so you can see all the can art. Another Oak Park, Sacto, Alvarado Street. Alvarado. Oh, that's like you have Chinatown or whatever. That's like Mexico Town in Monterey. But that's in Los Angeles, so that's in Monterey. But obviously taking it from that inspiration. Brassier de la Seine. Seine is a river in, Stacey, the Low Countries. So that's in Brussels. Ooh, and they have Cotillions, old former head brewer, so they're going to be putting out quality product. Cotillion is one of those. You raise the standard if you have Cotillion in and around your either fridge or cellar. Green Cheek Beer Company. Bowie Beer out of Astoria. Highland Park Brewery out of Los Angeles. Morgan Territory out of Tracy, California. All right. So nothing local to Ohio. That's unfortunate, but that's all right. Hopefully some stuff like with Side Project or whatever, some stuff that is available at certain times during the certain times of the year. All right. Let me check out. There's one thing that I was going to talk about. My daughter, who's going to be 8, she's interested in doing. So I don't know. We're going to record it. I don't think I'm going to. But I want to talk about it because she wants to do a podcast. She wants to do a podcast with Daddy. Anytime she sees me on the camera or whatever, I'm talking to the Chuggalo Mike or the Up North crew or whatever on the camera, she always likes to come and say hi and throw on the headset or whatever. So it's interesting because I think we're going to sit down and we're going to do a two-person type podcast or whatever. And I snagged one of Papa's. He's just finding out about it now. I snagged one of his Sprecher's root beer, and she said she doesn't like root beer, but I figured we'll keep it inspired. We'll keep it in the same vein or whatever. But maybe if it's quality content, it'll be a bonus show or something like that. I don't want to put too much of my kids up and out there or whatever. But maybe something fun, maybe something private or whatever for select viewers. But outside of that, episode 260, what a hoot! It just there's so much. I'm trying to keep it shorter, especially on the new year. I wish everyone a wonderful and prosperous 2024. If the math works out, episode 300 will happen this year, sometime this year. So, one a week or whatever in case we do more. But so 40 weeks from now, I don't know when that falls. October, fall time. We do something inspired, 300 episodes, plus all of the Advent calendar episodes and all the side projects and everything that we do. But again, a true delight. 2024, here we go, on our way. And that's it. Cheers.